Hey guys, it's Andy from Authentic Nerds Don't Yield. This is my spoiler review for the latest episode of X-Men 97, Season 2, Episode 4. So I watched it earlier today, but just didn't have some time, so I'm just going to do it now. But just a quick review. It was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I think this is the best one so far in this season. It's definitely comparable to the Remember It episode, the Gambit heavy focused one. For like a lot of reasons, but just it's a very mature and dark themed episode, especially for an animated show. But there was a lot of things I noticed in it that like took from different comics, obviously, and it's setting up different things. But I noticed right away, like it kind of reminded me of the anime. There was some really cool animation and some really cool like action, like moments that just felt really drawn from that. And I don't really watch anime much at all. I've seen a couple things, but I couldn't help notice that. And then I listened to a couple other things from other people, and they pointed that out too. So I thought that was kind of cool. I caught that, even though I don't watch it. But anyway, so the main things that were obviously huge in this episode was it was a heavy Xavier and Magneto episode, which I love, and they're obviously two of the coolest and best characters within the X-Men franchise. Um, I think the rivalry they have, and then turning it into them, obviously going back and forth between fighting and being friends, and like that's always how they are. But this episode, it was nice that they weren't fighting too much. Like, although Magneto was being kind of manipulative and going out of his way to try to, keep them there longer in the past and do what he can to change Apocalypse or N.Y. I think it was cool, and I loved that they didn't make it all about like Xavier arguing with them. Like he almost kind of wanted to see what would happen, but he was always too late to stop it anyway. But it was kind of like a philosophical debate of like, is this the right thing to do? Like time travel can change everything. So I like the way they did it. Like it was definitely a quick episode. They all are, but I think they handled it pretty well with what time they had. But so I'll get to the ending because the ending was crazy. But some of the big highlights. One of the things I actually didn't realize when they kind of set it up in one of the other episodes was Kang, and like I should have known that because I watched Loki, and like I haven't read too much with Kang. Like I've read a decent amount of comics, and I've seen everything like animated out there, Marvel and in that world. But yeah, I totally blanked on that. So then once it came up, I was like, of course it's Kang because it's King Ramatut, and then like at the end of time, like it makes so much sense. But I love that they didn't waste any more time kind of leading into that. So that was cool. And then he had a really cool moment where he leaves. Obviously, he's like, "Screw this! I'm fucking going to the future," and puts on his helmet, and then he's just like Kang. So that was pretty dope. I'm sure we'll maybe see him again, and just the whole story with trying to pull like I'm gonna keep calling him Apocalypse, but I know he's not Apocalypse. Apocalypse and Sabanur, them trying to like set him up the right way and not have him turn. I liked that, and I liked obviously that do we know if this is the wrong thing to do because time travel, and then it kind of set it up at the end where it's like, well, actually, maybe this was how it was supposed to be because that like endless loop of time travel where it's like you were meant to be there and do all this, and it's kind of confusing. Time travel is one of the worst things in storytelling because it's very messy and there's a lot of plot holes. But when you don't go too hard into it, it's not too bad. But I think they did a decent job. I hope they kind of stay away from it now. Like I know there's obviously the whole storyline within the Days of Future Past they gotta do, but like going into Kang and all that stuff, I hope they don't do that right now as well, which I don't think they are. But so the big thing was him, talking about his past, talking about wanting to still be kind of like the savior and all this stuff, and not knowing exactly where it's gonna go. You expect him to be bad, but there's a couple moments where he's kind of like almost redeemed. He talks to Rogue, which I really liked, and they talked about like love and like not being able to have love and all these things, and like that was great. And it's an unlikely pairing too, because like you always think of that scene where Rogue's laying down and her ass is out and whatever. And like that's the only time I think of Rogue and Apocalypse. So it was nice to give them some sort of like meaningful interaction. Although that scene is sick, also in X-Men, the original one. But the action was sick, and like the one scene where N7 snaps and then he's full on like trying to become Apocalypse, and he's getting the I forgot what it's called, but the artifact or whatever with the Sentinel. That was really cool too. Them evolving him, or one of the Sentinels in general. Fuck, not Sentinels, Celestials. That's what I meant. Fuck, sorry. Having the Celestials involved was really neat. And then so when they're all kind of just trying to stop him, and they realize, like Magneto says, he's still not his full strength. Like even though he's given up on being good or whatever, like there's no more hope, sure, but like he's still somewhat stoppable. And that obviously isn't true. They still get their asses kicked. But I love Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is one of my favorites, morally and powers wise, and just design and everything. And he got fairly close to doing something, and then he broke his arm, and it was like done. So it's like no matter what they do, they're all screwed. And it was just neat to see, him fully maxed out as like a normal mutant and kicking everyone's ass, and then he gets apocalypsed up, and they're absolutely screwed. And like that, it was really intimidating. And we saw him obviously in the first show back in the 90s, but I feel like they're doing a really good job showing his power level and just kind of setting the tone. Like they're screwed. And so now we're at the end of the episode. Magneto basically is sacrificing himself, which I really liked. And then he obviously dies at the end. But the way that they handled it, I thought they would set this up at the end of last season, where Onslaught is a huge storyline. And I think that's 100% what they're setting up. And if they don't, then I don't know why they wouldn't, but I think they did a great job leaving that trail of breadcrumbs. But so when Professor X, I'm a bald head, I did this on purpose. So when Professor X is connected to Magneto when Apocalypse is about to kill him, they link minds. And so what happens in the comics is they go into one body, and in this case, it'll be Professor X's body. So Magneto, although he's about to die, his mind is now in Professor X, trapped in there, so he doesn't maybe know right now, but they eventually fuse and they become Onslaught. And there's definitely more to it than that. But that's definitely set up. But obviously, that might not happen. We don't have full proof of that, but that's definitely what could happen. But other than that, Apocalypse fucking dummies Magneto, which was super emotional. And like that's kind of why it kind of reminded me of the Gambit episode. But yeah, it was crazy. And then you think like, fuck, now Professor X is dead. And I think that was the reason why immediately I didn't think of the Onslaught thing. But as soon as he decides not to kill him, and he talks about like only a coward kills ants to feel like a god or whatever, and he doesn't kill him, it's like that's so much more of a boss intimidating move. Sorry. And then obviously I don't know if Professor X wanted to die, but I think he was more ready than ever in that moment. So him leaving him was like, fuck you. How dare you, like, one up me again, So Professor X is definitely fucking pissed. And he said some good lines talking about his mom, like how he should have left him. This was a mature fucking episode. Anyone who says this is a kid show can fucking, take a hike. This is dope. I really liked it. I think there's obviously things that can always be tweaked and whatnot and anything, but probably my favorite episode of the season. Probably won't get topped. Like the Gambit one, when I watched that was like the best. Like nothing got better. This one I would give like a 9.6. Really good. Makes me want to read. I'm actually going to read after this a couple X-Force comics I haven't read. So these are one of the more modern ones. They're like mature ones with Wolverine, X-23, Warpath, Archangel, a couple other guys. So like it's sick when you watch something and you're like you want more, and you have to wait obviously. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna read something, get whatever little bit of another hit of this great universe that I can. So I'm excited for next week, needless to say. But no idea where it's really gonna go now. They just got fucked. They lost, and they always lose to Apocalypse. So very excited and curious where it's gonna go. So Hope you like the reviews. I know these aren't doing as good, but I don't care. These are such a good show. I'm not going to stop doing them. So every week I'll do them at some point. Probably Monday, maybe, or sorry, what day is it? Wednesday? Yeah, at some point Wednesday or maybe Thursday. But yeah, just appreciate you guys watching. So have a great day.